Welcome to the award-winning Capital Green Scene radio program. I am the aforementioned Bill Helmer, and over here to my immediate left today is...
We're almost sharing the same chair, Bill. It feels very intimate today.
Yes, it's a friendly atmosphere. We even have guests in the studio today, Brian.
All mics are fully engaged, so belt up.
Yes, none of them are named Mike, but we can probably find a mic or two here at Siena. Now, we have three guests in the studio today, and it's a fascinating, right-on-the-money topic. But before we do that, we have to remind our listeners that this show is helped by the law firm of Barclay Damon. Barclay Damon is a law firm that practices law in the areas that we talk about, environmental, energy, land use, all that good stuff. And their motto is the law applied, for which we applaud them every Saturday at this time. Applause, please.
Yes, yeah, here. And furthermore.
And the listeners, of course, also help.
Yes, they do. We appreciate it. And there's a fundraiser once a year, and we always appreciate people donating some money to make this all happen. Keep the lights on, the volunteers coming, and we thank you for all that support.
Yes. Now, Brian, I see three fellows over here, one in a habit. Why don't we introduce them?
Yeah, we have three guests today who are going to be talking about a situation involving Puerto Rico, the great storm of 2017, and some efforts to help get the lights back on that were done by some volunteers here from Siena College. And to help us understand more what was done and what might be done in the future, we have Father Sean O'Brien, who is the Director of Mentoring here at the school, as well as the Assistant Director of the Franciscan Center for Service and Advocacy, joined with Bill Jordan, who is the CEO of Jordan Energy over in the RPI Tech Park and a co-founder of Let's Share the Sun Foundation. And with Bill and Father Sean is Austin Behrmann, who works with Bill Jordan over at Jordan Energy and is a volunteer as well. And welcome to the show, all. And we're going to learn about what happened in Puerto Rico after the storm and some efforts by students and Bill and Austin to help get some of the lights on through the use of installing some solar energy panels. So when did you all go, and tell us what you did when you got there, what you saw?
I'll take the beginning of that, I guess.
This is Father Sean.
Father Sean O'Brien, yes. Within the Franciscan Center for Service and Advocacy, ordinarily what we do, especially during our winter and spring breaks, we take our Siena students on service trips to various places, usually in Latin America or various developing countries. This year, Puerto Rico happened to be the place for our spring break place of service, and we had been in contact with Bill, and were informed about the possibilities of being a part of a project that would obviously be of great help and benefit for the people after the horrific incident that occurred over a year. So we were able to get a pretty good group of people that were able to be a part of this, and we just took ownership of it, and away we went, and it was spectacular.
Now, I know the island lost most of its power supply after the hurricane. They rely primarily on oil and natural gas, right, to power their grid, and a lot of that went down. So people were totally in the dark. It was the second largest blackout in world history on that island, right?
Yeah, this is Bill Jordan. That is correct. The island was out of power for a very long time. The island has a special relationship with the state of New York, so state government got involved in trying to help out. Some really great Siena College donors actually were involved in helping to get the grid back up.
I used to work at the State Power Authority, and I still have some friends there, and they say that effectively the Power Authority opened up a third branch down there in Puerto Rico, in addition to running Niagara and St. Lawrence, the big hydro facilities, and serving customers in New York City. The third thing they're doing and still doing is down there trying to get the grid back up. Is there a big presence down there still of the Power Authority people?
Well, we can attest without naming the donor. We met to thank him for his contribution towards our installation, and he said, we met with NYPA, and they said, get this done. This needs to happen. And so while it took a lot longer than people were hoping, I would say, New York did a great job in terms of getting the system back up and running.
I've heard there's some pretty amazing stories of jury-rigged situations where they've got cables, 345 kV cables running up cliffs and taking short right turns and things like that. Are those accurate accounts?
Yeah, I mean, you still see vestiges of the damage from Hurricane Maria on the trip. The most visible to me were large billboards next to highways still over on their side. So there's a lot of substations throughout the areas we traveled, and fortunately, I would say there's most of the power in the areas we were at were back on. But that doesn't mean that solar and renewables aren't an important part of the future.
Exactly. You don't want to just go back to the old days of running the coal plants.
Yeah. Now, can someone tell me in terms of how many people showed up and how many panels you brought and where you put them, and just what happened once you got there and realized what you needed to do, and how did you bring the gear and the people there to do it?
I'd invite Austin, who was the leader of the trip, to answer that question. He really brought most of this logistics together. So,
This is Austin Behrmann, and I went there in August to kind of profile out those sites that we picked out 6 sites that were kind of the starting points of what we wanted to work with. And then this one, that trip was actually sponsored by the Archdiocese of New York. And so they were, together with them, we picked this facility is called Meson de Amor. And it's the North Tower, it's a large dormitory at the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras campus. That tower got shut down. And they have not, still a year and a half or so later, it's still not up and running, and they don't really have any plans to. They don't have funds to. So a lot of students have very little. At first they were homeless, and now there's almost no options for them for dorms. So this facility, for now, has been feeding about 125 students a day. No charge to the students. They do what they can to feed them. That's a dinner every day, Monday through Thursday. But they're in the process now of putting 25 dorms on their second story of the facility. So that's going to come with a lot of extra power. So that's why we kind of picked this place first. The group that went down there was 14 of us. It was 5 Siena students, Father Sean O'Brien, Brother George Camacho, and then Dave Etzler was our videographer. So that was the group from Siena, and then from Let's Share the Sun, we had myself, Bill, Jordan. We had Michelle Nolan, Ken Oldred, and Paul Johnson were our solar experts. They were the installers who made everything happen. And then we actually had a professional comedian with us, Greg Adala. So it was really a great kind of diverse group. We had people from the solar industry, some people who had never really worked in solar before. So it was quite the learning experience for everyone. And it was 18 panels that we installed up on the rooftop. So that happened all in the course of 7 days there.
Isn't Greg at Funny Bone this weekend or something like that?
He might be. Yeah, I know he's performed there. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. So you sort of concentrated on, what was it called, the Meson de Amor?
Yeah, Meson de Amor. They also go by, it's sort of like an acronym. CAFE is the Casa de Amor Fe y Esperanza. Mm-hmm. So that's, they're just across the street, just off campus. So they're very close to the campus there. The students just walk across the street from their classes to go get this meal.
Now, you say there was a videographer on the team. Is there going to be a documentary about this effort?
We've put together some videos. Yeah, there are some videos, and I think there's maybe some more coming out. So we got a lot of footage, and we're trying to put together some good.
I would think this would be a huge thing for the college. I mean, a way of promoting the kind of college experience that is a little bit different from just studying your Hebrew, Greek, and Latin, Brian. I know you lefties love
a hands-on experience here. You mentioned 7 students were part of the team that went down.
Yeah, it was. We had 5 students, and then 8 in total from Siena.
Mm-hmm. And this is like rooftop solar. People can see examples of this all over the place. So you were down there installing technology that has a proven track record, nothing experimental.
It's sunny, too, down
Yeah,
there.
it's sunny and windy in Puerto Rico sometimes, I've read. You would think the renewable power would have a good, feedstock to work from.
And interestingly, of course, I think 2 of the students were environmental studies majors, so this is very much connected with their course of study. Mm-hmm. And, as you were saying, it is definitely hands-on learning, so to speak. But it is also, I mean, it's their spring break. They could have been in numerous other places, and we really worked for the whole 7 days. We had our fun, but we were working, and we were fortunate to have the guidance of the experts who really knew what they were doing. And we were just kind of, to the best of our ability, learning from each other. So that was the beauty of it, I think.
Yeah, so this was a matter of what, donated time and donated material as well. If you had to pay for all this, what do you think it would have cost to have paid for just at straight market rate, and what we're able to do with donated goods and time?
Well, we at Let's Share the Sun have a strong criteria to try to support local enterprise. So in Haiti, that's translated into last August trips. Well, everything was purchased from a Haitian solar company on island that's employing 30 people. That company didn't exist 5 years ago. So Austin led the effort to purchase from local sources. And this was our first trip to Puerto Rico. We've done dozens of trips over the last 10 years, mostly Haiti, Honduras as well. But the actual cost was about $20,000 for all of the equipment that supported a distributor that's working on the island since Hurricane Maria. And I think we'll have a phase 2 that'll be even larger once they get the dorms built in this building.
Now, this is interesting. You have a connection to Haiti. I mean, that's right across the channel, isn't it, from Puerto Rico? I mean, I think that's the next island over, Hispaniola. I mean, as I recall my history of the Caribbean, Brian.
Where's the map on the wall? We got to check this out.
And as I recall, the United States seized Puerto Rico back in the Spanish-American War. One of our less positive experiences.
Might makes right, whatever it was.
But did you run into any of that sort of political context down there? The fact that Puerto Rico was kind of in and out of the United States. It's always struck me that the history of Puerto Rico is ignored in the United States. The fact that the independence movement was very strong, including an attempted assassination, Brian, back in the 1940s.
Too, yes. Back in the 60s, I think.
I presume that you were welcomed with open arms, but there must have been some sort of, wondering, is this all there is? Is this all the United States is going to do?
Actually, we had a great start to our trip by going to a mass that was celebrated. It was a confirmation mass from the Archbishop of San Juan, who's actually a Siena College graduate.
Really?
And we had a great lunch with him. Archbishop Roberto Octavio Gonzalez. We gave him a Siena College shirt, and he led a dialogue about some of those dynamics of the relationship of Puerto Rico with the United States.
And I guess everyone's probably bilingual down there. Most people are. Certainly the Archbishop is, I know.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have made it a little easier. Anyway, I think it's time we should take a quick break, Brian.
I think we should, Bill.
Okay, this is really one of our best episodes ever, I think, Brian. We have three guests
better
in the studio.
better every day in every way, Bill.
Anyway, please stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more of the Capitol Green Scene. Come back to the Capitol Green Scene. B&B, Bill and Brian, Benedictine and Brandy here at the microphones.
And now we're learning about an effort that was done by some volunteers here at Siena College, and a local foundation devoted to solar energy had gone down to help put the lights back on and installed a project down there we talked about in the first half of the show. And we're going to learn more about how you can support the Let's Share the Sun Foundation and the efforts of the school. Now Bill, tell us about the foundation, how long it's been around. Are you online with a website, and what people could do if they wanted to help provide?
Yeah, my wife and I founded Let's Share the Sun concurrently with the founding of Jordan Energy and Food Enterprises, is a for-profit solar company that we tied 10% of our profits towards the foundation. So the website is letssharethesun.org. We have fundraisers all of the time. We have a ninth annual fundraiser at Fordham Prep down in the city on April 27th. A little bit far for a lot of listeners, but there's a lot of easy ways to get involved. We have volunteers coming to our offices all the time, and we are confident that the students that went on this trip will be part of that volunteer network, as there's been an invitation to do both Puerto Rico and Jamaica with the office that Father Sean works with, Service and Advocacy. So we're thrilled about that. There's a phone number and the website that's easy to call in the offices, 518-326-1104, and we get you involved in whatever way works in your lives and schedule.
Now, I believe as well that the foundation and Siena have been involved in Haiti as well, Father Sean, in terms of installs there in a couple of places.
Yes, I was not involved in that. However, Siena College has a relationship with with a school called St. Gabriel's. It was founded by a Siena graduate who was on scholarship during the time of the hurricane, and they went after graduation. They returned back to Fontaine in Haiti and started a school called St. Gabriel's. It's a middle school and a high school, and since its opening, we have had various groups of kids with Father Dennis Tamburello going down there to usually to teach during what is our winter break, and it has evolved into what is a group called the Friends of Fontaine because the school is located in Fontaine, and I'm not really quite, and I believe St. Pius Church and even Christ Our Light and probably a couple other groups are also somehow connected with that Friends of Fontaine. And how did, Bill, I'm not certain exactly how your organization got connected or brought into the solar panels. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think we're at the school at the time when I went a couple years back.
Yeah, we've had installs at both St. Gabriel's and at the St. Francis Xavier Orphanage, which was another of the students. And it was just networking. A professor here on campus, Tom Kuhill, invited us to get involved. So we did on St. Gabriel's what we're doing basically at Meson de Amor. We did a phase one that was a manageable number of panels. And then we had a second phase, which was actually in conjunction with Notre Dame Magazine and the University of Notre Dame on St. Gabriel's campus. And so we've gone to both the orphanage and installed at the orphanage and to the school. And interestingly, a phase two for Meson de Amor will happen this summer. Now, there'll be a couple of Siena College people involved, but there's also going to be students from both the University of Notre Dame and University of Michigan, in August, in the first week of August. So there's plenty of opportunities to get involved in future delegations.
You know, I'm curious, what was the scale of the Meson de Amor project? How much? 5 kilowatts or something like that?
Yeah, and this is Austin. It was 5.4 kilowatts. So that all just went up on the rooftop. They had like a lot of typical, Puerto Rican rooftops. A lot of them are flat concrete roofs. So it was just installed right up on their rooftop.
Do you have battery storage or something?
Yes.
Sort of
so that was in the interest of in case further storms, if there's any power outages, anything prolonged, we did do kind of a hybrid system where we attached it to batteries. So in the event of a power outage, they can go on themselves. They can kind of island themselves. But otherwise, they use the solar power every day that they get from that and then only take what they need to kind of make up the rest of their energy usage from the grid. Yes.
Someone's going to say, Brian, some of my evil friends will say, what a drop in the bucket. This is meaningless. But, this is the sort of incremental good doing that ultimately, the Talmud, right? The Talmud. Yeah. It says if you save one person, you save the world, that sort of thing. Right. So it's if you just sort of by steps, increments, do the right thing. Yeah.
Well,
it matters.
There's something called the silver BBs theory, not the silver bullet, not one big thing that's going to solve everybody's problem, but silver BBs, one at a time, one person at a time, one panel at a time, and you can actually get something done. And I think, Austin, you had said earlier that you have already scoped out, 6 more sites down there that the same thing could be done with?
Yes. This was, so I went there in August, and there were 6 sites that I profiled out. I visited more, but these were the 6 that I kind of figured could use it the most. Not every area was really designed for kind of what we were doing, like a small installation like that. Mm-hmm. The 6 sites, this is the one we decided to start with. We kind of came to that conclusion with the Archdiocese in New York and Father Eric Cruz. This is the first one. We're hoping to do a phase 2 this coming August. And then, I mean, yeah, we would like to keep going with those other sites, the rest of the 5, and then, maybe anything else that can come up after that.
How is the grid in Puerto Rico fueled? Is it mostly oil, gas? Is there still coal down there? Do they have a nuke? Do they have a refuse burning plant? What's going on?
So it's a very relevant question. They just passed last week a law that's giving strong affirmation for renewable energy. And right before this law was passed, an attempt at a natural gas pipeline through the country went down in defeat. So we have in Hurricane Maria, an opportunity for renewables to take a much larger percentage of the total energy generation. We got to bolt those panels down well because the winds are going to continue to go strong, but it's a much better solution than the alternative. Some advocacy groups were talking about major fossil fuel companies trying to make Puerto Rico the hub for distribution of fossil fuels throughout the Caribbean. We feel strongly that there's a huge opportunity for renewables to be less effective and more environmentally friendly for the region.
Yeah, it's interesting, Bill, you bring that up. The measure that was just signed by the governor of Puerto Rico calls for 100% renewable by 2050. And, of course, as you observe, Bill, some of your evil friends, they call that interference. They call that interference in terms of determining their own power supply and not just accepting the frack gas being, shoveled into their country as fast as possible. So that's turned into a political fight to a degree. They're trying to dissuade Puerto Rico from actually embracing its own vision for the energy future of their state.
Someday, Brian, we're going to reveal to you that the best fuel on the planet is baby seals.
I know. Yeah, you have to put through the blender first, right, Bill? Yeah. So Bill, you're kind of ahead of the curve on this. Before the government of Puerto Rico decided they wanted to go full on, you guys were there a little bit ahead of the curve and getting it set up for them a couple steps at a time.
I'd like to make a comment to the comment about naysayers, because when we started Let's Share the Sun 10 years ago, the numbers were there were 6.7 billion people on the planet. And there was an estimate that 1.4 billion people had no access to electricity. 10 years later, we're over 7.3 billion people, and there's now less than a billion people that don't have access to electricity. So in 10 years, 400 million people got access to electricity, even as our population grew. And the irony is that 500 million of those billion left have cell phones. How did those cell phones get in those people's hands? And how do they recharge them? So 18 panels may seem drops in the bucket, but there's 400 million people that got access to electricity in 10 years, and most of it has been renewable, starting with a solar-powered LED light that can recharge your cell phone. So 18 panels and a lot of those solar-powered lights are changing the world very rapidly in a positive way, I would assert.
Yeah, I think I just read recently that 7% of the global electrical supply is currently renewable. Now up to 7% global supply. So, and that was from essentially zero, 20 years ago.
Hydro there,
oh,
right?
Everything.
Mighty big
but globally, it was almost
and
zero.
Nukes, probably.
Yeah. So 7% is good. We're growing, and it is a BB, the silver BB's theory. You're not going to build one, billion megawatt solar farm in Puerto Rico and cover the place up. It's about rooftops, open spaces that are already there, facing the sun.
Yeah, and of course it's windy down there too. I mean, as you pointed out, there's got to be a significant development of wind energy, I would presume, already in the island.
We're strong believers in a diversified portfolio of renewable alternatives to meet the needs. We have lower operation and maintenance costs because we don't have moving parts. So in general, we think solar will be closer to its end user, eliminate some of those transmission and distribution costs,
right?
So have lower cost energy.
The cables are shorter, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no toxic waste stream from your solar panels I'm aware of. I don't know where they were dumping their coal slag on Puerto Rico. Did they have like a lagoon someplace? I don't know. Is that something you guys ever came across?
Well, Brian, I think...
Do you know, Bill, that those coal slag could cause
dump in the ocean.
cancer?
Yeah.
Oh, in the ocean. Fish like it.
You know what else goes in the ocean?
Makes superfish, right?
Is their solid waste.
Yeah.
And for years there have been companies trying to figure out whether they could build an incinerator down there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the problem there is always the the toxic emissions.
Yes.
The furans and the dioxins and things like that.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to note that Puerto Rico wouldn't have to dump coal slag any further if you guys get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's a bit of an oversimplification, but our cost competitor is natural gas. So the panels are made of silicon, which is sand. You either take sand and turn it into solar panels, or you take sand, water, and chemicals and shoot it in the ground at high pressure to get natural gas out of the shale. We're going to win that in the medium and long term in terms of cost and certainly in terms of environmental benefit. I don't know. I'd like to turn the conversation, if you don't mind, a little bit towards the benefits to the students, because this is a big point of why we do what we do at Let's Share the Sun. And I know Father Sean has some comments about how this was for Siena students.
I believe that, like all of our trips from the Franciscan Center for Service and Advocacy, they serve as opportunities for the kids to see the larger world. And when they get out of their own comfort zones and embark upon whatever kind of endeavor we may be involved with, they come back to the United States and they come back to the Siena College campus saying, wow. And they rethink maybe in terms of how they're going to use the gifts that they have, how they're going to use their education. And it's not just about them, so to speak, but it's really about contributing to a greater good that they believe in. And I think especially with regard to this recent trip to Puerto Rico, the kids came back with just a renewed sense of the importance of the solar panels and how they contribute to the improvement of the ways in which we use energy and how they can somehow use their own education in a way that will continue to contribute to that and to develop it even more so that it will have a profound positive impact on the environment. And, that's something that they want to be a part of. So you say, good for you, let's keep going.
Yeah. Bill, I think we should get Darren up on the roof checking this place out. We must have space up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, we've reached the end of the show, unfortunately. We could go further on this, but we should get everybody back after your next trip.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the comments of Father O'Brien are particularly appropriate. I mean, what is it Jedediah Springfield says? A single thing embiggens
the smallest man. Embiggens, yes.
A good deed embiggens the smallest man, or something like that. Yeah. So I think the students come back with enlarged souls. That's what I think is the thing. So solar and souls. Got those both? Got those two things?
Solar. That's
good. Anyway, once again, we have strutted and fretted our half hour upon the stage, and now we must temporarily drop the curtain on the Capitol Green scene. But tune us in again next Saturday, same time, same station, for another exciting episode of the Capitol Green scene.